Today, I am going to show you guys how you can also create a beautiful YouTube thumbnail, just like the one you see on your screen right here in Photoshop, using AI tools like Midjourney and Adobe Photoshop's new beta, which uses generative fill. Don't be intimidated by Photoshop if you don't know how to use it, or Midjourney. I'm gonna show you just how easy it is. And honestly, Photoshop is so easy these days, anyone can learn it. So you're gonna need two things. Number one, a Adobe Creative Cloud account. Now, I pay for the photography plan. It is $10 a month. It gives me Photoshop, Lightroom Classic, and it gives you 20 gigs of cloud storage, and this has worked just fine for me. If you guys want to know the basics or need to understand Photoshop on a more basic level, there are YouTube videos out there, and they can teach you pretty much anything you need to know. But the other thing you're going to need is Midjourney. Now, Midjourney is an incredible AI tool. This thing has gone so far in such a small amount of time, and honestly, all you need is a basic plan. It does have limited generations, but if you know what you're doing, I've been able to make YouTube thumbnails so easily using this so quickly. And then we're going to take them into Photoshop and we're going to kind of bend them a little bit with Photoshop's AI to our need and make them look a little prettier, a little better, etc. You can either do a yearly sign up or a monthly, which costs a little bit more. Obviously, that's up to you, but I know a lot of you guys may spend money on YouTube thumbnails. You may pay someone to do this. This is going to save you a ton of money. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to do yourself. First, we're going to hop into Discord. Midjourney does use Discord. It actually uses a chatbot called Midjourney Bot, where you will enter prompts just like this. I'm going to type in \imagine, and you can see this prompt window come up. And essentially, all you're doing is entering what you want Midjourney to create. So in this instance, what I did was I'm looking to generate some art around the game that my video is about, right? So a Plague Tale Innocence. I wanted it to be very high quality, so I said 4K. And then I also added this right here, which is AR 16:9. Essentially, this is like a little shortcut or code. It's just telling Midjourney that I want a aspect ratio of 16:9 in that rectangular format. There's a lot of other little things that you can do to add in depending on what you want to happen here. Sometimes I'll add in photorealism. Sometimes I can add in other, specifics, but I usually start off just pretty basic and simple. Like, keep it simple, see what it comes up with, and adjust from there. So this first one it's going to give you is a panel of 4. And honestly, all 4 of these look pretty fantastic. It's just figuring out, okay, which one is thumbnail worthy, right? And so what you can do is looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 here. These are upscale buttons. So I decided let's upscale all 3 of these, 1, 2, 3. And then you can also do a variation of one. So I can do a variation of number 2 here. So I went ahead and generated those. Now, if I wanted to and I didn't like any of these, or I just wanted more options, I could go ahead and kind of re-roll. And this is going to re-roll your options here and give you a new panel of 4. So you can see this is one of them. This upscaled right here. This is picture 3 upscaled, image number 3. You can then do other options once you get to this. You can zoom out ×2, zoom out 1.5, custom. I can vary this a little bit, make it a little different. I can move the camera around. I can like it, make it square. You guys get the point. Some of these things you don't have to do in here. We can always do a lot of these things in Photoshop with the generative fill. But if you want to, you can zoom out here, and I elected to do that. I was trying to see if I could make this work. I did really like this screenshot, but I wanted to continue, and here's a variation. I told it to make some more variations, and I'm essentially just kind of playing with this, right? Trying to get ideas, trying to figure out, what I can make here that looks really good as a basis for my YouTube thumbnail. It's okay if some stuff isn't perfect, like the eye here. You can fix a lot of this in Photoshop, and I'm going to show you that next. I ultimately decided with this one. And before we bring this into Photoshop, I'm actually not going to save this from here. I'm going to go ahead and open it from the web and go to Midjourney, which it'll pull up here, and I'm going to save it from there. That gives you the best absolute photo quality and most upscaled version of this. You can save it from Discord, but I would definitely do it using this method. All right, now that we have our image, how are we going to go from this to this? We're going to open Photoshop Beta and go ahead and just do File New, 1920 by 1080. I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop our saved picture here. I really want them in the frame here. Again, this is a YouTube thumbnail, so about like that. See how that looks. Maybe a little bigger. Do Control T, maybe like that. And don't worry about this blank space. What we can do with that is we'll go ahead and do the rectangular marquee tool. We'll select inside of our image and in the white space. And this is where generative fill is going to come in. We're going to start using generative fill to fix our image. Once this little prompt comes up, I'm just gonna click generative fill. It's gonna say, what would you like to generate? It's better if you actually don't specify in most cases, especially if you're trying to just fill in blank space, just hit generate. Okay, that looks great. And it's gonna give us several options here. We have a set of arrows right here that you can use. And then we also have variations over here. And we can check through these and just pick the one that looks the best. I think that one looks great, so we'll leave that. And every time that you do a generative fill, it creates a new layer. So if I do this, you can see if I hide or unhide with the eyeball here, it's going away and coming back. And you just need to keep that in mind when you're doing more edits. So I'm gonna go back and select my bottom layer, this one. I'm going to select the top layer, and I'm gonna leave it like this, kind of like flatten these together or combine them. I'm going to select both layers, right click, and merge layers. Need to fix a couple other things before we brighten this image up, so I'm going to zoom in. And her eyes, you guys can notice, look a little funky, right? AI does that. It kind of struggles sometimes with features, hands, things like that, but that's why we're going to use generative fill to clean that up. I'm going to go back to my marquee tool, and I'm going to make a circular marquee, and I'm just going to go over the eyeball here. And again, I'm not going to specify, and let's see if we can get it to generate a good eye. If not, we can specify and try that as well. Okay, and you'll see this is very common. This is in beta, so sometimes it's going to say this violates guidelines or it's not okay, right? I'm just going to select this again. Let's try it one more time. And it's not perfect. There we go. So it gave us a good one. Actually, it looks pretty good. It only gave us one option. It still gave us the error, but you can see it added a layer. And it still worked. And I actually quite like that. I think that looks great. The other eye looks a little funky. So let's go down to our bottom layer. Let's kind of select this area here. And let's just do the same thing. Let's type in eyeball this time. Okay. Let's see what it... Okay, we have some different options. I don't know what is going on there. Sometimes this will happen. That one's not too bad. Again, remember this is a thumbnail, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, that one's fine. I think we'll leave that. I like how that looks. So we'll leave that there. I'm going to, again, let's merge these. Let's go ahead and lock this in so we don't mess up anything. Again, before we brighten it, I don't really like this light up here, and we can even modify that. So let's go over to, let's go to the lasso tool, or let's use the quick selection tool down here. If you click and hold here, it could. And look at that. So it just kind of knew it grabbed that. And again, no prompt, generative fill. Okay, great. And let's look at our options. This one breaks it up just a little more. I like this one the most. I think that looks more realistic. That one or this one. And we'll go ahead and merge that. And a plague tale has a lot of rats in it, right? Let's make this a little bit more relevant to the game. And this is what's really going to set your thumbnails apart, is when you can add things that look original and creative, right? So I'm going to go back here, elliptical marquee, and let's just put a black rat on her shoulder. And so I'm going to put in the generate bar, I'm going to put black rat. Keep it simple. And it's going to analyze this and try and make a black rat sitting on her shoulder that looks and matches the tone of the photo. That looks pretty good. Let's look at our options. I like this one the most, although it has 3 hands here. Never mind. That's pretty good. Let's try it again. Those aren't perfect. That one looks pretty good. I like that. It kind of looks like it's in a little sack here. It matches the tone. Perfect. And again, it's a thumbnail. That looks good enough. Let's go ahead and merge that in. And now we need to brighten this. This photo is way too dark. So what I'm going to do is make sure you have your layer selected. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments. And first, let's do brightness and contrast. Let's up the brightness a little bit. About there, because it's really dark. Let's go to shadows and highlights. It's going to try to auto-select. Let's just up the shadows just a little bit. And then, I'm going to show you guys something really cool. If you go down here to your object selection tool, click and hold on this object selection tool. This is going to come up. And you can either remove the background or select the subjects. Hit select subject, and it has now selected both of them and the rat. But what I would do is do a layer via copy. It's just going to make another layer here. Now they're kind of cut out, and we're just editing them. And we can go to Image, Adjustments, and let's go to Exposure. Let's see if we can kind of brighten them up a little bit, because we want this to pop. We want this to show up and catch someone's eye. Correct the gamma a little bit. Then I don't like how red they are, so we can even go in to color balance, remove a little bit of the red, Maybe make them a little bit more yellow. That looks great. I think they both look good. From here, what I would do is go ahead and if you want, you can merge these or you can leave the layers how they are. You can see what we did there. Really made a difference. And I'm gonna go ahead and add my text. You can see I did my text here, so I'll give you a quick example of that. It's 4 years later, because my video is about A Plague Tale: Innocence 4 years after it came out. And what you can do is if you just double click on your text over here in our layers, we can add all kinds of stuff. So just play around with this, drop shadow. That looks great. Did a gradient on my other one. You can go in here and double click the gradient and add that. Change your colors. Little gradient looks good. And then the final touch that I had put on it before was a border. Obviously you don't have to do that, but I thought it would look good. And so what I did was I went to rectangular marquee tool and I just did something like this. However big you want to make your border. I wanted to add a little bit of a touch. Select inverse, right click, select inverse. Make sure you do that. Generative fill. So I'm gonna put white grunge border. Okay, I like how that's looking, and we have some different options here. This one looks cool. Obviously, if you want, you can move the opacity of it down a little bit. Maybe something like that. Just makes it pop. You can add a drop shadow. I like how that looks. That's pretty cool. Maybe we can sharpen this. Go to filter. You've got filters up here. Let's do a smart sharpen. That looks a lot better. Yeah, we got pretty close to this. Obviously, I spent a lot more time on this, so this one looks, in my opinion, better. I think I did better on the eyes on this one. Awesome. And there's our thumbnail. It's up to your own creative imagination, but I think that Midjourney combined with Photoshop is really a game changer. Obviously, if you guys don't know how to navigate Photoshop, very simple. If you watch some guides, they're all over the place, all over YouTube. You'll catch on to it very quickly. I mean, it practically tells you what to do now. And it's gonna take a little bit of learning, some trial and error, but once you guys get it down, I mean, you don't have to pay anyone for your YouTube thumbnails. And like we just did, we just created this one-of-one picture ourselves. If you guys liked this video and it helped you out, please consider giving me a like, a comment, subscribe to my channel. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions about this or like me to do any other, quick little creator tips and tricks. I'll be happy to do that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.